why do we consult so many beings? Or like, well, why do we consult so many levels of being? Why isn't there just one step to this process, right? And hopefully by now it's clear, like, because we're going to get one level of advice from ego. For example, hey, there might be tigers in that forest. We're going to get another perspective from higher self. Like, for example, if you don't walk through that forest, you'll never get to where your destiny is calling you. That's why you feel so attracted to the forest, So, of course, you're going to walk through the forest. You have to walk through the forest. Your destiny is calling you to walk through the forest. But come on, don't be stupid. Let's pack a good pack with some good snacks in it. And let's maybe go and apprentice ourselves for a season with the woodcutter. So we learn some outdoor skills back in the day of woodcutters. And maybe make a plan to walk through the forest. Let's go find the person who has a map and talk to them and maybe bargain with them for, we'll help them with their computer and they share the map with us, or I don't know, right? So the higher self is going to give you a different perspective, than ego. And then these higher beings are going to give you yet another perspective. Like, for example, the journey of your destiny starts with a single step, and yet that single first step is the greatest step. For when we step into the forest of the unknown, we step into the great mystery of self. And you can do this, for you were born to do this. And we've been calling you to this. This is the beginning of the rest of your life, the forest journey of the divine, something like that. Or the deepest mysteries are always scary to begin with, and we shy away from them. We wish kind of naturally to run from our destiny, for it is powerful and it calls to us. And some part of us, the human part, the lower part, distrusts or mistrusts this force that's acting upon us, calling to us. And so you must take up your warrior sword and marry that sword with the staff of wisdom. And you must attend to the deep mystery of the forest, which is the deep mystery of the self. And there in the forest, you will find the guide that you seek. And here you will find the destiny that is calling to you. And of course, you feel scared, my child. We all fear that which calls to us. But this is God that is calling. This is God that is calling you to your destiny. So have no fear, for the light is walking with you always. Right? There's going to be some, right? And so do you see how it goes? Like, any one of those answers doesn't necessarily totally give you the full picture. And it's when we put it all together, right? When we put this all together, we see the full picture, Like, hey, there probably are tigers in that forest, But ego is not necessarily wrong, right? And you do need some survival skills and a backpack with some granola bars in it, right? Before you just go waltzing, and maybe getting a map is a really good idea, right? You need some skills and some learning and some training. And this is your destiny calling. You see? So we need that fullest picture, right? Bringing all the parts of us together to create this coherent picture. And when we have this assemblage, this most complete picture, then the answer becomes so wildly and radically clear, Having said that, like, there probably are tigers in that forest, which I just said like two minutes ago, right? that hypothetical position of ego, which is like, hey, that forest is scary. There might be tigers there. Like, here's the thing, right? We cannot just listen to ego. We cannot just listen to mind. If we did that, our life would stay small. We would stay safe in our little village. We would never grow. We would never become more, We would never really engage our higher self, our highest self. We would never become our highest potential. Of course, we do need to listen to ego, but we need to follow the guidance of spirit, of our highest self. Okay? So we use ego's guidance to help us along the way, but not to define the direction that we're going. Right? In fact, having received spirit's direction and sort of become determined to follow it, then we can turn back to the ego and be like, okay, this is the direction. Now help me move in that direction. Ego can become our ally. Ego's like, okay, we're going to walk through the forest. Well, as the forest walker, mechanism that's going to move your arms and legs, let's make a plan for what we should put in our pack, and let's make a plan for the bear spray that we're going to carry, and let's make it, and then ego can do like its perfect job, which is like driving the bus. It knows how to drive the bus and how to turn on the turn signal so that we don't like smack ourselves into something. That's what it's good at, right? It's not good at charting the direction that our life should go. For that, we should be listening to spirit, higher self, higher beings, right? The thing is that like maybe there are tigers in the forest, but maybe you'll never encounter any. Maybe if you make loud noise, you'll scare them, especially if they're tiny tigers who are very, very cute. Maybe if you prepare well, then you could deal with any tigers that you encounter, right? So we can't let ego dictate. Maybe the tiger is actually our power animal, And when it meets us, it's going to just give us a big hug after we stop running. And maybe that was the destiny that spirit was calling us to. Do you know what I mean? We can't let ego dictate, or we will stay small, right? And then, a life lived like that, we wake up one day and we're like, is this all there is to life? Is this all there is? Really? And we feel this great pain, we feel this great wounding of regret. Whereas when we listen to spirit, when we allow ourselves to be challenged to rise up and to reach for the thing to stretch, then we come alive. We move towards our greatest being, our greatest self. On people's deathbeds, it's very well recorded. One of the things that they most express is regret for a life unlived. Right? We have to let spirit guide us through life. We have to let God, who sees the bigger picture of ourselves, guide us through life. And then we take that direction and we forge forward, harnessing ego to help us drive the bus, not get in an accident, but not letting lower mind dictate the direction that the bus is going. Right? Higher mind dictates the direction.